talk a little bit about Nyssa. First of all, written and directed by Julie Cavaliere. Congratulations on your Venice premiere, Julie.
Congratulations, you. Thank you. It's been surreal. What's amazing is that when we first sat down, we had the script. We spoke about where we saw this world premiering. Venice was at the top of the list, and it's not often that you get to have the premiere you really dreamed for a project and that you felt would fit so perfectly. So eternally grateful and very excited that this is happening. But yeah, volume 1 is Nyssa, and it is we collaborated with Studio Cyro as our animation studio for it, and they did a beautiful job on the collaboration. And essentially, it's about a little witch a precocious witch who, after losing her best friend Broom, who is named Broom, decides to journey into the depths of the dark migration, where she is forced to learn what fear is and how to harness it in order to save her village from the wrath of the evil Cog. And it is inspired. Oh, it is inspired by it's the beauty of Zoom, right? It's just these Zoom talkbacks. But yeah, it is inspired, going along with the theme of Reimagined. It is pulled from a lesser known Brothers Grimm tale titled The Tale of the Boy Who Went Forth to Learn What Fear Was, and then kind of played with that until it got developed. And I wrote it in this alternate world and what it would be like through a female lens.
So I think one of the biggest things that I came to you with was that you can have a really visual narrative and it could work really well in 2D, and it could be an interesting part of 2D, but it's not always the foundation of a traditional media. And I feel like one of the things we talked about was how robust the story world of Nyssa needed to be in order to make it a immersive first, virtual reality first experience. And so tell the audience a little bit about what you went through in your journey to find the look and the feel and the flavor for Nyssa.
Yeah, sure. So I always had a very strong visual aesthetic in mind when I was writing it, and it was just this idea, just in terms of what these art forms represented and how that built into the theme, which is of this world. And also the theme of Nyssa was, I always wanted to start this world out with kind of this impressionistic flair. In Nyssa's world, I didn't want her world to feel bright and airy and the stereotypical sunshiny world until the clouds come rolling in. I wanted it to feel dark and weird and mysterious. We're not in a human world. But I did want it to feel at the same time warm and inviting and Nyssa's home and her safe place. And so I wanted to bring in a lot of these elements, which is also why Quill works so beautifully, because we wound up just hand painting everything. So I wanted it to have that painterly effect. And then also, as she transitions into the unknown, we get more of an expressionist style of art, style of the piece, which is harsher, longer, more fragmented shadows, sharper angles, things that are more high contrast in ways, and just to explore that difference. And then at the end, how do those worlds reconcile if they do?
It's one of my favorite parts of Nyssa. It's not just the characters, it's not just the narrative, but whenever I'm in headset, I'm always like, oh my, it's so beautiful and like stunning. And I'm sure one of the many reasons why the piece resonates with people when they watch it. But another part of what that resonates with people, I really feel like, are the characters that you created. So just for this audience, give us a little insight into your precocious little witch and her best friend and some other characters she has in her life.
Nyssa, my girl Nyssa. So it was really hard to create Nyssa because as we mentioned, this script, I had the first draft in 2019. So she's been living in my head for quite a while, and then putting a face to that and embodying these things. And actually, I also had the idea of just borrowing from some cubist elements, because I didn't want her face to be this Disney princess. I wanted her to be quirky. I wanted it to be imperfect, but all her own, and charming and rough and messy and all of these things. I often said she's a bit like Amelie, the film Amelie, if Amelie rolled around in the dirt all day and was just scrappy. So I got a little bit of inspiration from this actress I love and adore. I'm not going to say who, but if you guess it, good for you. But I did want her clothes to be ill-fitting. I wanted her hair to have texture. I wanted it to kind of be all over the place. I wanted it to not work, but somehow it does, if that makes sense. Put all together, it has a charm. She has a charm and a personality.
Yeah, one of the things I feel like was really early on when we were talking about doing animation for this piece was like we didn't want Nyssa to be sexualized. We wanted her to be in this phase of her life where she was coming into herself as a woman, but not yet fully realized as a woman, but also not fully dematured as a child either. And I feel like what you did with the concept artist, you struck such a great balance. And what we did with the amazing voiceover actress Alex Cazares, who voices Nyssa, was like you found that scrappy preteen kid that's just like, why can't I go play with my friends every day and run around in the dirt and do dangerous things? And of course, the person who's telling her not to do those things is her mother and her fellow villagers. So give us a little insight into Nyssa's support system, as we would call it these days.
Yes, and so, and just going back to Nyssa for just a second, one thing, and you bring up a good point, and one thing I was constantly thinking about was what her spirit would be like if unencumbered. What could her spirit be like if unencumbered? And there's this old book I read a long time ago, when I was visiting Salem, Massachusetts, which is kind of the witch capital of the US. And it was talking about how females are at the greatest potential of their power just before society sexualizes them. So I was trying to strike that. And then of course, Marmee, who is her mother. And what was important to me about Marmee was that she's not just this nagging mom who, like, she has her own set of experiences. And she was also like Nyssa when she was young. She was this precocious thing, but had this devastating, almost, deathly experience. And then that forever changed her. And so I wanted to kind of capture that, and not that she was nagging or weak, but just bound by the earth and grounded, and maybe a bit regretful about the path she took, and so has trepidation about passing this lesson on to her daughter, but it's the only lesson she knows that will keep her safe. So there's that element to it. And then the villagers, the children of the village, it was important that they didn't feel human. And then really for my own amusement, and the concept artist had the young girl with the pigtails, and I asked if we could just revert it. And then if she could be the one that says the dark migration, but that was for my own sense of humor.
So just want to tell everyone, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you, Julie, for your amazing vision. Thank you for being such a incredible multi-year collaborator. We've been in this game for a hot second together. And this is like our first big vision coming to life, seeing Nyssa at Venice. For anyone who would like to stay in touch,
Michaela. And thank you, Michaela, because it is not easy. This was a behemoth, and it's, as the lead producer, it is not easy to keep the train on the tracks. And I thank you, the creative team we had and the animators, as Michaela said, they're just amazing and so talented. And you know, I hope everyone enjoys it, and then I hope you come check us out for volumes 2 and 3.